couch. Coop here, and this is Cyberpunk 2077 running on the PlayStation 5, patch 1.61 and the ray traced quality mode. None of that performance here. I want to show you the game in all its glory. And talking of glory, CDPR is promising the Phantom Liberty DLC pretty soon. This could change the game massively. I think it will adjust a lot of base game mechanics. So I wanted it documented, a little look around the game prior to that happening, because I very much doubt I'll be firing this up before that release. Just very briefly before we go on, in 2021, Cyberpunk saved my channel. I was not getting any traffic. For some reason, the algorithm didn't suppress my Cyberpunk videos, 60,000 views in a couple of days. It was an amazing time. A huge thank you from the bottom of my heart for anybody that viewed that content, and I can only apologise profusely for not having more Cyberpunk content for this year. If you found me from that content and are still with me, you're amazing. I owe every single one of you massively, and when that Liberty comes out, I'll be all over it. One of the video pieces I made, which still holds up right to this day, is a sort of showcase of all of the big name sites and big name YouTubers that didn't inform us entirely of the issues with this game on launch. They actually came out with complete falsitudes during their entire day one reviews. Jack Frags is one, Rad Bradley's another. We saw it from GameSpot and IGN. It was horrendous. It was disgusting. They should have all been pulled up. Should have been fined or some sort of reprimanding. The only punishment I saw were increased numbers on all the aforementioned, and some of those YouTubers are doing incredibly well today. What's the moral of the story? That there are none out there, and these big name sites and YouTubers, I think this needs to come to an end. Anyway, let's talk about what we're looking at. Look at this AI pushing me up the stairs. I love its little quirks, and that's what we're going to look at in the video. I'm also going to look at kind of the tragedy that is CDPR's Cyberpunk 2077. One of the analogies that was going through my head was, it's almost like someone who bought this beautiful mansion, absolutely amazing period piece, beautiful inside, outside, and they just fill it full of IKEA furniture. It's that little last bit that completely ruined this game, and a lot of that pushes onto the mission structures and NPC behavior, combat. The deal, I don't need to repeat myself, but it's still nice to celebrate this game after no less than 8 patches and see it officially on the PlayStation 5 for no extra charge and looking quite pretty. We've got 30 to 25 frames per second. This didn't actually capture at 4K, which really surprised me. So there's a bit of super sampling in here, but it's nice to have those ray trace shadows, not reflections, remember. I thought it'd be nice in this video to visit some iconic locations, drive some cool cars and fire some pretty awesome guns. And as you probably know my content, I'm pretty obsessed with photo modes, and this one's got one of the most workable open world photo modes on the market, and that's what initially attracted me to this world, is that every asset can be scrutinized, the whole game can be paused. I still had to run 150 meters up the road to go and get Jackie's bike. I'll try and timestamp this, or the AI probably will, but we're at the 3-minute mark, so you're at one of the 8%. I don't want to bore you too much, but I do want to show you certain aspects of that photo mode that you lift things off, depth of field being one of them, increasing that field of view so you can really get to look at some of the asset detail, obviously getting rid of the main character, but remember, the camera will pivot where that character was stood, so you need to really get next to your vehicle if you want to start getting some cool pans. And the pans are so smooth, everything that's so good. The light hits all of these vehicles and mechanics and people and shops so well. I was lost in this for months, as you well know. I'm having a little muck around with the collisions there. The current gen versions of this game have some really amazing dissipation on part and lingering smoke when you clash with another vehicle. And also I wanted to test the first person mode on motorcycles, which is a novelty. It's not really that much easier, but I was thinking how cool would it be if you had a reticle that came up that you could shoot people on in the chases in this mode. We might see some of that in the Liberty update. God, CDPR, you need to get in-car vehicle combat going ASAP. Talking of iconic locations, this is what I call Goldfish Roundabout. This lead up to this structure is quite a big ask on engine, and there's a section coming up where both pedestrian crossings are going at the same time, the cars are moving around, the game doesn't stutter or judder or have a moment, there isn't an NPC that gets stuck on another one. This kind of worked in this section, and that's how far this game has come. You would not see this sort of stuff on launch, and you probably won't even see this sort of stuff on a base level machine. Switching to the photo mode, you can see you can get a far more detailed and smooth pan, and you can adjust the height of the actual camera itself, but nothing's moving, nothing's going on. It is a static shot. But that is one of the joys of it for me, being able to just stop everything and look around, look at stuff in motion, bullets in the air, explosions halfway through. This photo mode really was a gift for someone who wants to deconstruct a game or essentially reverse engineer it. It was a real cool thing to be able to go through. Let's talk about some of the weird stuff that happened. So between these two shots, I've adjusted the time. We're now looking at the middle of the night. It's not a fog storm that's coming or anything. And the whole Goldfish Roundabout's completely disappeared. The fog draw distance is a little bit iffy. Never saw any rain in the whole 12 hours I put into collecting this footage. But as we get closer, you can see things are a bit more recognizable. I like how the fish almost sort of swim out of the mist. This is some Blade Runner level visuals. I love the idea of the smog and the reflective road and all the neons working. I also call in my Akira bike now, which actually comes on demand, which was a first, I think. So my first tango with this game was on the PlayStation 4 Pro, literally on its launch week. This Roundabout was the most badly performing piece of game map I've ever had the misfortune to wander into. It was like a clock face, but every quarter of an hour you'd get round. It was stuttery, juddery, there wasn't a single car on it. There still isn't enough cars on it as far as I'm concerned, but just going round this smoothly. I know it sounds crazy, this is a huge benchmark. Sometimes you just got to stop and soak it up and look at the changes in mood with these flip outs on colour. The reflections around the motorcycle aren't that great, and I forgot to click in one of the R buttons, which would light up my wheel hubs in luminous. That came in on an update. So did the umbrellas. We've only seen one out of those two. But it's the mood and the wonder shots like this create for me. The brain starts just thinking all the adventures you could have in this beautiful world, and the gunfights on this roundabout. I'm taking advantage of this wet look evening, showing you some of the beautiful reflections on the road as you're going down. You've got the tyre marks behind you there from the moisture and a little bit of mist in and around the motorcycle itself. Does it handle any differently in the wet? Not to my knowledge, and we're still going at that capped speed limit, which does kind of annoy me a bit. Also, the camera, when you're moving it around on a vehicle, only gives you a certain amount of time before it snaps you right back to behind the car. It's the most frustrating thing on earth, and you just have to make do. Look at these reds on the pavement here. I love all the cars parked up. This is like a scene you could almost get away with being real. You've got the gangsters here, you've got normal pedestrians and NPCs from Night City chilling out, you've got people ordering noodles. This is what that game should have really looked like. It's to strip away all the HUD apart from what you have to have. I don't even use a mini-map. I know Night City like the back of my hand. Anyway, it's far too quiet. Everything going as it should. Enemy NPCs taking cover, people trying to flank me. The shotgun's OP, so it's kind of one shot in everyone. That's kind of normal. You never really find some good middle ground with you either way OP or you get the crap shot out of you immediately. When you do find a good balanced fight, it's very cool. They do take cover, vehicles blow up. Everything is where it should be with the combat as far as I'm concerned. I just wish they would move it into the vehicles. This scene is integral to the plot. I'm not going to go through too many spoilers, but you do get to see the spaceship and some of the planetary intergalactic. It's surprisingly detailed considering how far away it is, and there's a zoom on L2, but if you click up on the directional button, you take it up a tier. There's 3 tiers of it, so it's cool to be able to look at stuff in distance, see if it's loaded in. This is not looking too bad. We're not going to concentrate on it for too long. The drive into town, absolutely iconic, or into Night City itself. Never forget it. You come off this bridge and then it's nighttime in the original game, and you come down this freeway and you get to see the sort of streets and shops and neons and pinks and adverts all coming at you at the same time. The blossoms, it's a mind blower, and it's a mind blower in the daytime as well. The base level PlayStation 4 and the PlayStation Pro would always suffer quite badly on load gates coming into Night City, and it would be very disruptive. It was smoothed out on the Pro, and they're not even kind of there on the PlayStation 5. So huge improvements in that direction. I also like the tight combat spaces within the urban areas. I was doing the Ascent review the other day. I like when things blow up, boxes dissipate and stuff falls off shelves. There's quite a lot that's not bolted down in the combat with Cyberpunk 2077. Updates and some later game saw the introduction of like netrunners, or enemies that could like teleport and cause you major damage. Increased AI, a lot more difficult. There's just not enough of it in main game, and things got a lot better towards patch 5 and 6, but I want to see a huge injection in enemy variety and difficult enemies with this Phantom Liberty update. I think they're doing a big reset on the AI and what sort of people you're fighting. Quick little bit of the port. Remember this, but there is a big old tanker. There's a few missions up here. I like the import-export container system, and a lot of the fights that happen over on the right, they're really cool. You're in some quite secluded corridor-style arenas. Also, if you fall in that water, it's like a 15-minute swim to the nearest ladder. Don't find that out the hard way. Not going to find things out the hard way. That's easily the worst one yet. This game sports region-based censorship or country-based censorship on the adverts. I know of no other YouTuber that has spoken about it. Pretty sure Bradley didn't bring it up in his day one review, but it's a bit scary having loads of adverts just blurted out because they're a little bit, it's the nudity. The C word gets thrown around in this game all the time. How do I get to see this? It's still my UAE account. As far as Sony's concerned, this account is still out there in Dubai. Talking of desolate places in the middle of nowhere, oof, get demonetized for that one. It's nice to go out into what I call the Outback. The area that you start in is proper funny, and I do like the way the vehicles mimic the landscape. You've got these sort of ad hoc jeeps and big trucks, bits bolted onto them. They look amazing, and it's so good at duping you. When you first start this game, you're like, oh my god, if it's like this, and there's regionally targeted vehicles and motorbikes, and everyone's wearing that kit, you don't realise that this is just really an induction phase. One of my funniest YouTube moments of 2021 was watching Angry Joe flip the car, and it was before they implemented the self-righting system, and he was just like, where? He didn't know what to do. He quite literally blew up on stream. It was incredible. Talking of incredible, oh mate, come on. Hairing around, hoorahing around in your vehicle without looking where you're supposed to be going is a lot of fun in the Outback. Just another little quick time experiment here. No one's still watching this, Coop, you know that. I know, but it's nice to go through the motions. We've got the city from an external view out here. So this is a midday. I flip it to sunset, and you do see some amazing shadow work. Water doesn't change too much, but this is the middle of the night, and I love it. There's a sort of slow bleed through. Then you start to see the sort of columns, those advertisements, and the city comes in, this little glow from it. This game could have been so goddamn good. Real role-playing game. Could have had you sort of living the life of a sniper outlaw out here in the outskirts, and you go into the city to do like assassinations. They're always looking for you. Check out this AI. Where on earth was he going? What was he doing? What sort of algorithm do you put in that just says walk straight towards protagonist? It's laughable. What isn't laughable though, that's the last one, are some of these Blade Runner down the middle, totally standing at the chimneys at the intro of Ridley Scott's masterpiece. Get that feeling with it. Some of the flames, some of the smoke. Still no rain, annoyingly, but you still get your breath taken away a little bit sometimes with this video game. I have been Couch Coop. Latest patches in comments. I will see you all down there.
Would you care for some more soda, comrade?